live at the door. All right. All right, you good. You go inside. Hi, good morning. I have Justin from a band that little tiny band. Really happy I could get them on. Just this little, just the it's this. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of them. It's they have the same initials as Kingdom Hearts. There's this whole thing. It's Justin from Kerosene Heights. My dog. How are you?
Yo, I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I had a very I've been getting into like I think it's not because of the administration. It's just there's been this whole thing of like me going away from like everything digital, and so I have recently got like a film camera, my first one.
Cool.
I got an Olympus stylus. I think it's fucking sick, but I didn't know like what battery would take, and it required a really really weird battery. Uh,
Of
I'm,
course.
I'm learning so much about that. There's more than like three types of batteries.
Yeah. I would not have known that either, but that is amazing.
It's
Is it
really
like a point and
weird.
shoot?
Yeah, it's a little point and shoot.
Cool.
It's very weird. But it needed a 3 volt battery,
Yeah.
which
What? I don't even know what that looks like.
I don't even. It's like taking a double A battery and just like squishing it. It's like the same density. It's like just a stout double A.
I actually do know now. Okay, I know what you're. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I'm glad you found it. Hopefully,
I
you
went
did.
to Walgreens and picked some shit up. But yeah, I had a lovely weekend. How was your weekend?
It was so good. Hung out with some family. It was awesome. Oh, you know what? I meant to ask you. When we had this previously scheduled, was it scheduled on your birthday?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay.
Dude, I'm
Okay.
so glad we didn't do it that day.
No, it's no. Okay. So I spent
And
my
happy belated
birthday.
birthday.
I did my birthday stuff not on my birthday. I did it before.
Okay.
Like it
Okay,
was a
good.
Wednesday. Like I was back at work that day. Like it didn't
Got you.
even matter. Like
Okay,
I
okay,
went
cool.
I went to Monday Night Raw the Monday before. That was like my birthday
Whoa.
thing.
Hell yeah.
It was the best thing I've ever done. It was fucking awesome.
Have you gone to like a full-blown wrestling event like that before?
No, so I started. So Netflix had the Vince McMahon doc, and I
Yep.
watched that. It was fucking killer, and
Yep.
immediately got me like into it because they segued it perfectly. Like literally 2 weeks later, Raw started live on Netflix,
Yeah.
and
Okay, I
so
didn't know
I've
that.
so it's on. They've partnered with Netflix, so Monday Night Raw happens every Monday at 7 Central. And I've watched it every Monday since it came out, and I'm like so hooked that and
Yeah.
like I'm so mad that I wasn't a wrestling guy before this.
Oh,
Like
this is new.
this is so new, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Okay.
when I was 37 is when I decided to become a wrestling fan.
Hey, it's never too late.
It's never too
I
late.
there's like I feel like I'm probably, what emo music or DIY or whatever, I feel like has always had like these few things, right, that have always kind of been associated with I'm trying, I don't know, like Magic the Gathering or any kind of Pokemon or whatever, right? And
Yes.
wrestling was always one of them. For a long time when I lived in Orlando, a lot of the people I knew that like from playing in bands and bands like that we had played with and all these other people in Orlando, and they were all into wrestling, and like I tried so hard, and I'm like there's so many cool things about it. Like I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Like I like the drama, and I like the like, the ceremony of it all, but it never stuck. Maybe I'll have to try again. Maybe 37 will be my year too, that I get
Yeah,
into wrestling.
I think there's something about it. There's something about the access, like where it's just like on Monday nights, that's just what I do. There's something about how I didn't have to pay more for it. Also I found like the barrier of entry to like, the lore is really heavy. And some
Yeah.
but the barrier of entry for that lore, I feel like is actually pretty low. I did not expect that. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is that I was like, oh, I don't, I'd have to. It's like, listen, you can't just jump into the third J.R.R. Tolkien like Winds of Winter book. You can't just like start there, and that's how it feels. Wrestling feels like that kind of lore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have people that would, yeah, they'd try. They'd be like, okay, so what you're missing is this guy and this guy had a big beef like 4 years ago at WrestleMania. Totally, I get it. And as somebody who very often comes into things way too late, like what you're talking, Lord of the Rings, just watched all those movies for the first time last year.
Yes.
Never read the books. Was like, and probably got in on the wrong foot. I got in on the Amazon show that they did, and all of my friends who are really into it were like pulling their fucking hair out. They're like, dude, are you serious? And I'm like, it's awesome.
Shut
And
up, I'm having fun.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and it made me watch the movies, and then they're like, well, okay, fine. They're like, all right, I guess
Yeah.
if that's what got you into it, then that's what got you into it. Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
that it's cool. I think wrestling is really fascinating. I think the thing that I like about it the most is that over the course of time, after like catching up and seeing and like or feeling like how I felt about it when I was a kid or like seeing it, is that it felt like it was a bunch of superheroes, and it's the lore was like they were superheroes.
Oh
But
yeah.
now the way that everyone is treated is like they are. Everyone treats the WWE as this place of work. It's like a workplace drama now, and like
Really?
that. Yeah, like it's not like Vince McMahon his wife has been kidnapped and then the limo explodes. It's like it's not like, and that's like some real shit that happened. But like in how
Incredible.
like the Undertaker is supposed to be like a dead guy. Like that is supposed
Yeah.
to be like the like a ghostly thing. But now, like, you have like this, like, first of all, also, there's no names like that anymore. They're just like normal names, but like
Yeah.
a little protagonistic. Like, there's like, my favorite guy right now, his name is Sami Zayn, and he comes out to ska music, and
Hell yeah.
his whole thing is that he's just kind of at work. Like
Yeah, I love that.
and it's perfect. He has like a little bit of drama, but he's just kind of like, I listen, sorry guys, I'm at work. I gotta go do this. I gotta go kick this
Yeah.
guy in the face. I'm gonna come out to my ska music. I'm cool. It's whatever. I'm getting paid. It's nothing
Yeah.
serious. I'm obsessed with
A
that.
job.
It's just everyone's just at their job, and everyone just
Yeah.
talks about it that way, and it's just so funny.
That is
But
amazing. I love that.
it's perfect. I highly recommend it. I think I could spend the whole rest of this podcast talking about it, but we have more important things to talk about, Justin.
Hey,
Yeah,
we're gonna get to it all.
all right. So you are in this cool band. Now, I looked back when I
Thank you.
first heard Kerosene Heights. I actually you're on my top 20 favorite records of 2023. Uh,
Dude.
it
Hell yeah.
was
Thank you.
it's Southeast of Somewhere is a perfect flawless record. It was the first time I ever heard of y'all, and I've been just a fan ever since. So like you reaching out to me to wanting to do this podcast was just like, yeah, I'll do, yes, 100%. I will do this on my birthday.
I
Like,
love it.
so let's kind of go through some history stuff, because there's even an album before that. Like y'all have been doing, versions of Kerosene Heights for kind of some time.
Yeah, totally. And thank you for having me on this podcast. I don't know what the first. I'm trying to think what the first episode I heard was, but anyway, what you're doing is awesome, dude.
Thank
it
you,
was
man.
kind of this. Yeah, it was kind of the same deal. I was like, the hearing. Yeah, it's really cool. Like I love hearing people that are kind of doing the same thing that you're doing, and hearing how they do it. Like I love listening to people talk about their creative process or whatever that is. And it's like a really cool kind of fucked up weird camaraderie thing to hear other people like commiserate and like how we're making this work with a life and with all these other things. And yeah, mostly that it's just people's like just dumb stubborn passion that they're like, no, I'm just gonna do this, and I love that.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. So thank you. But yeah, yeah, I mean, we started Kerosene Heights in probably like a lot of people, and I feel like I've actually heard you talk about with other people on this podcast, but it really probably did start like sometime during the pandemic.
Yep.
It I played in bands for a really long time throughout my life, starting when I was like 13 years old, and had hit a patch where I was like, I probably will never stop playing music, but I also will probably never play in a band that is like touring or doing whatever that type of thing is ever again. And that I think I've said that multiple times in my life, and every time I'm like, well, I'm wrong. I'm gonna do it again. And yeah, I met Chance through my wife, her best friend. We started, I guess both of us started. I started dating my wife right around the same time Chance started dating now his wife. And they were both best friends. And so of course, they're like, we're going on a double date. We're gonna go hang out. And you get the vibe from the person. And of course, like something came up that he played music, and I'm like, oh, cool. What do you play? And he's like, I do a lot of like, Chance was doing like, basically recording like what are probably still, you could probably still find them somewhere online, I'm sure. But Chance was recording under like a different name at the time than Kerosene Heights, all on his iPhone, like full band songs that he was recording on an acoustic guitar that he had just taught himself how to play, which is already like, I was like, wait, how long have you played guitar? And he's like, oh, like 6 months. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And then I'm like, how are you recording all of this music? And he's like, on my cell phone. He's like, literally was like, I will go do vocals. I live in an apartment. So he would go get in his car and like yell, fucking scream in his car at whatever time. So he didn't bother his neighbors or anything. And that's how he was recording his vocals. And, I was like, dude, this is really cool. And we started talking about bands we had in common. And I just sort of probably just bullied him into, I was like, we're starting a band together. That's what we're doing. And we did, which was awesome. I was like, it's rare that like, I'm sure at the time, I don't know what the bands were, but I'm sure it was like, he's like, oh yeah, have you ever heard of Mom Jeans? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of Mom Jeans, dude. Like, but it's that weird, like, you're like, oh, probably most other people that you would meet just randomly like that you're like, oh, you're into music, what kind of music are you into? That's not necessarily the band you're going to hear them say, and not necessarily the band that both of you are going to be like, yes, I like that weird thing. So that alone was like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
You got to, you got to do
it. I like it when it's not up to you. Like it was, right. it wasn't up to either of you. It was like, well, I mean, it's just the gravity is too good. The energy is there. Let's just fucking go.
You got to do it. And so it was awesome. And then Elle pretty quickly came into the fold. Elle was originally our drummer. So another kind of fun little southeast of somewhere lore thing is our old drummer and Elle actually switched instruments maybe 4 months before we recorded that record.
No shit.
We got back. Yeah, they both were. Elle was more of a guitarist, like, stringed instrument player who had taught themselves drums. And our drummer or bass player at the time, kind of the opposite, drummer who sort of just was like, yeah, the bass. And we had this conversation coming off of a tour where we're like, maybe we should go into this with like everybody kind of putting their best foot forward. Let's try it. And so we just did. And it was awesome. It worked out so well. Elle is a great drummer, but Elle is such a fucking good bass player. It like boggles my mind all the time. And then, yeah, we put our heads down for probably those next 4 months. And then the next fun thing I always like to tell people is we recorded that record in 3 days, which is wild. And it was awesome, fun. I don't think we'll ever do that again.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like that late night. So hold on. There's how many songs are on that fucking record? 12 songs?
11.
There's 11 songs.
11.
So was it 4-4-4-4-3?
It was some variation of that. We basically did song by song. So we went in we might have done 4-3-4 or whatever it was. Cool. But yeah, we did.
That's a lot of fucking music. That is so much
crazy.
Music oh my God.
It's crazy. But it's playing in a band this time around has truly taught me the value of like not being afraid or whatever it is that stops you from putting yourself out there and just asking. Because I think, you know, a lot of times you probably won't be surprised, and the answer you think you'll get is the answer you're going to get
Yeah.
most of the time, right? Like you're going to get told no 100 fucking times out of every one time you get told yes, but you will get told yes that one time, and you're like,
no, it's a numbers game. It's just a numbers game.
yeah, dude. And so that record was no exception. Like, we found a studio in Nashville, that, you know, we kind of gave them, hey, this is what we want to do. This is our budget. Could we do it? And they're like, okay, with that budget, you could have 3 days. And then I'm like, okay, so is that a no? And they're like, no, not necessarily. Like, can you guys, can you do it? Can you track it live? And I'm like, just again, blind, like optimism. Sure. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, sure.
We could do it. And so then the next 4 months we kind of went into oh shit mode. Can we do it? And just rehearsed over and over and over and over and over again to a click, in a room together. And we did make it work, which was awesome. And again, I think everyone's really proud of that record because it is the most just kind of, these are the songs that we have. There was no real production, like, you know, value necessarily to it. It was just kind of like, let's get into a room, let's record these songs. And that's what you got, which is really cool. And so I think everyone's proud of it for that reason alone, of like, it really is just kind of a holding a mirror up to what we were writing at that time, what we sounded like at that time. No extra bells and whistles or really anything on it, you know, which was super cool. So it really always does mean a lot when people, like, you know, when I hear people say that record resonates with them, because yeah, again, it was just, that is literally like the most direct reflection of our band at the time. And Alex Farrar, who recorded that, is really, really awesome engineer and producer in his own right, that has done a lot of cool stuff outside of maybe the emo sphere. And so it was cool to have somebody who doesn't necessarily do that kind of music record us, too. I think that was a really cool and valuable thing. Not to say he didn't get what we were doing, he surely did, but you know, it's not necessarily what he does all the time. Like he does like MJ Lenderman and like Wednesday, and he did like Hotline TNT, I think, is another band that he recorded. That was a cool record.
Yeah,
but
great
like,
record.
You know, not necessarily, not emo music, not even, not necessarily. It's not.
Yeah,
but Alex is awesome.
There's something really, really nice about having someone like, first of all, you can, I think that if I had the chance to do like, record with actually at a recording studio, I think I would prefer someone that doesn't see the same side of the totem pole that I do.
Totally.
Because I think it's going to help both of us, where it's like, I'm always trying to see as much of the totem pole as I can. And I feel like I want to work with somebody that is also doing the same thing. So let's share and find some place in the middle where,
yes,
like 100%. I think I would have made the same decision to do that for that reason specifically.
Yes. And I don't know that it was, you know, I wish I could say that it was that well thought out at the time. I think it was just, this is where we live. So there's no travel fees. We don't have to worry about lodging. We can go home every night. But I think it for that reason, it worked out really well, which is cool. Like, and you know, it sounds like, which I'm inferring that from what you said. I don't know that for a fact. Have you guys recorded all of your own music yourselves?
Yes. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
So Mikey is like our recording guy. Mikey is he's a little genius. We did the whole thing in his like just his room. And
that's incredible.
I'm really, really happy with it because I'm trying to get him to like be more about he's in Nashville and I want him to like, actually, Mikey, I'm going to make you listen to this and I'm going to like just send you this timestamp right now. I need you to fucking get involved in music in Nashville outside of your room. You do amazing stuff in your room. We need to get you a job in a fucking studio just because you're that.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Keep building that studio out.
Mikey needs to fucking do that. Now, I would love to know specifically now, So there's a band that I've always loved, mainly because they did this on purpose where they were going to create this world around the name of their band. And like they were going to tell this story. This is not, this is a weird emo band from like, we're talking third wave, like the My Chem stuff, the all time low stuff. The band called,
Okay, I grew up in this. Let's see if we know it.
do you know Medina Lake?
I know the name, and I actually believe some good friends of mine just did toured with them in Europe. I feel like are they just doing shows? Okay, my good friends in Bad Luck just toured with them in Europe.
Okay,
and I was like, I know that name, but I don't know that band.
So Medina Lake, I love their first record. It was like I had the CD. It was awesome, but it was all about a place that was like had this murder mystery. There was this whole lore behind it. Is Kerosene Heights something like that? Is it a place?
It's not. So to be honest with you, again, I think us starting this band, it was so much of just a group of four people going and, working on music. Chances, I hope I'm not putting him on blast. I think a lot of people probably already know this, but Chance's like original thing that I was telling you about that he recorded, it was under the name Echo Chambers. Mm-hmm. I think for whatever reason, I don't know if it was, now I don't really remember the reason behind why we didn't just keep that name. I don't know if it was somebody else had a name similar, or if he kind of wanted to keep doing music under that name separately. I don't know. But I think we just it was that typical, we got to, a fifth practice or whatever it was. And we're like, okay, we should probably have a name for this. And I believe Elle was like, I've got a list of names on my phone. Starts reading them all off, and I really do believe that the two final names we whittled it down to from this list were Hot Clown or
so
Kerosene Heights. And I think, probably in my own typical fashion, I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to be in a band called Hot Clown. And so I was like, it's Kerosene Heights, dude. And I think that was like, they're kind of just little poke at like probably at like a third wave, emo, they're like, we're playing in like a pop punk emo band. So this is like a pop punk emo band name, like Kerosene Heights. And it just kind of stuck. And again, I don't think there was much more thought into it other than that.
It's so good. It's so good because it's like there's something about like I drive past a lot of like apartment complexes. My wife actually works construction, so I hear like names of like groups of places, like groups of houses. And so like Kerosene Heights has totally like this weird neighborhood vibe. It's like it's totally like this neighborhood, this emo neighborhood in my head where that's actually where we all live is Kerosene
That's right.
Heights.
Oh yeah, condos starting in the 200s. Yeah, exactly.
It's how I've always heard it in my head, and it's always been just like this funny thing because it always brings back to Medina Lake. I'm like, there's just like it's just so funny to me. It just seems like that.
Truly, not much past that. I wish there was more to it. I wished I had a better story.
No, it's perfect. No. You don't want a better story than that. That's perfect. There's something about how little that candle lights. Like that's right. It's perfect.
That's right. And yeah, I mean, it just, I think, that this, I really did things from that fifth practice where we're like, okay, we need a name to the first EP that we recorded to like the first tour we did, the time span that exists between those two things or those three things or whatever is so small that I think like it really past that point. It's like, okay, there was never like time to rethink, like, do we want to change our name? Do we like, it just kind of kept like moving and in a great way. Like, but it just kept, I think I was probably the person that was like, hey, we're going on tour. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're going on tour. Let's do it. It'll be fun. And they're like, okay. And again, like, I'm sure, like it's the rareness of finding three other people who you get along well enough to do this with it in the first place, but then also who are like, hey, we're going on tour. And all three of them are like, yeah, let's go. And all of those things, and that all syncs up. Again, I've played music for such a long time. I don't know that has ever been the case for any other band I've played in, where every person has been kind of on this same page of like, yep, let's do it. And so it just kind of we kept going, as Kerosene Heights. That was it.
There's something really, really fascinating in my head. I have a pretty vivid imagination, like as people say stuff. And I think that there's the best way to explain kind of how like, bands kind of follow each other as following members specifically in ideas and like seeing where everything is going to go. Is like if you're like driving in a rural area and you see like the flock of like 1,000 birds that like fly and like look in like this weird amalgamous formation where it's like where one bird has taken off and then suddenly everyone's following it. That's exactly what being in a band feels like. When everyone starts making decisions like that, it's everyone's like, okay, hey, we're gonna go tour. Hey, we should do this. It's everyone's fluid. It looks like ferrofluid. It looks like this thing and that's the best way I think I could explain it, because it's not one person guiding the whole thing. Whether, you sound like a North Star to the band, like anyways, like you sound like that you kind of had either the most experience of doing band stuff. Would you say that you did?
In the band?
Yes.
I play guitar, but, and so, yeah. And that is kind of, like you're saying, I think that you slowly start to figure out, like, carve out these other little things that each person is able to do or help with or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I've played in bands for such a long time that was sort of an easier thing for me, I think. So it was just like, yeah, I'll book the tours. I've done this. I know people here, so I can reach out and I can get kind of the ball rolling a little bit easier, I think, in that way. So yeah, I've done most of, up until, maybe the last 6 months or so, I've done most of the booking for us. We have help with that now, which is incredible. Our friend Pat, who books for a lot of other bands, has been really, really helpful with that. But I've done a good amount of that. And then, I think it's given me more time to focus on some of the other aspects that I think you start to realize, like, oh shit, I don't have time to answer every email, book every tour, and want to write music for this too, and work a full-time job and do all these things. So, I think it has afforded me a little bit more time on like the record that we will have out later this year. Cool. It gave me a little more time to like kind of poke and bug Chance about who did, early on, most of these songs were really fully Chance's songs that I would throw a little lead lick over or whatever. Sure. And people would add their own flavor to it. But
yeah, of course.
I think as time's progressed, you've kind of gotten to see, and it's fun to look back because you really have seen us progress in a way that like I've been able to really kind of come in and like help. I say help, maybe it's not helping, but I've gotten to come in and put my stamp on things a lot more in our songs. And, the most recent record is finally the first time I would really say like, and again, maybe Chance would be like, "Oh, this motherfucker."
Yeah. Well, there's like a one-headed dog thing and a two-headed dog thing. Like, right. Like there is a small like as like the principal songwriter of 95, like it's just I write stuff and I go, "What do you think?" And like it's just okay, yay! We're just
yep, we're doing
cool.
it. Yeah.
Okay, more, yeah. And then now there's like two people writing. There's two people doing that, and like it just happens that way. There's no one controlling this whole thing. It's just like, hey, here are some songs. What do you think? Like there, yeah, I totally get that.
Beautiful, and that was early on for us. That was such a challenge for me, I think, more than anybody else in our band, because I came from so much more of of really like this like fully collaborative songwriting thing with projects that I had been in, where it would just be like someone had this 20-second, I've got this riff, and we would just sit and hammer it out all day. And by the end of the day, you're like, we have a whole song. This is incredible. Exactly. Everybody helped write this. And this band started kind of on the opposite footing, where it was somebody who had really fully developed and incredible fully developed. Chance had these like full songs done that it's like, well, there's nothing to change here. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Why would we change it? Like, I'll add a lead and I hope that I don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
I'll put something on top of it, but and so as time's gone on, I think it's been really cool to see that kind of change a lot. And again, for this newest record, Southeast somewhere included, but not even to the degree that I think this newest record has a lot more of like, you really start to hear, and Chance and I think at our best complement each other super well, where Chance has this really awesome, like punk, Chance grew up with like folk punk, and like Chance grew up as a young kid. Like there's like photos of him on the internet as like a 5-year-old dressed up like somebody in the Misfits. And I'm like, what the fuck was your childhood, dude? It's incredible. And I didn't get that. My dad was like, you've got to check out Pink Floyd. And I'm like, this shit sucks. And I like it now just fine. But as a kid, I'm like, I hate this. And so I grew up with like much more of the like really melodic, emo leaning stuff. And so I think what we've kind of developed now is this like really beautiful understanding of like what our band is, and that it can be both of those things, and that they can sit really well together, and you can have this like raw, it's a lot of like, we'll get together and it's like D beat over that, and I'm like, we can't put a D beat over this, dude. And then okay, well, let's try it. And sometimes I'm like, you know what, the D beat fucking works, dude, let's do it. And sometimes the D beat doesn't work, and I'm like, we laugh all the time. I'm like Chance is like, I want more distortion and loud guitars, and I'm like, I want all clean guitars and really pretty, like intricate things happening. And I, I'm so stoked, because I think we really have finally found like this perfect middle ground of that all working and playing really well with each other.
Yeah.
And that's taken 3+ years to get there. And that is, I mean, that's what you want, right? Like you want things to change and grow and develop. And anyway, I'm ranting, but it's been cool, and it's been amazing to have, somebody let you kind of come into their world of like, yes. I'm sure you are guarded about that sometimes, like where you're like, these are my ideas. And like, I don't know that I want somebody else to come in and poke around and fuck up my ideas. And I've been lucky to be allowed to do that.
I think that like everything's leaning closer to that. I mean, I have like definitely a lot more like I come up with like, I'm not the best recording guy, so I do like full fucking demos of all the songs first.
Okay, like, that sounds about like us. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'll do it all in my little office here, or I'll just send a note on my phone of like, hey, here's a full fucking song. And it's just, I don't expect it to be like, oh, well, I guess we're all going to do this. Like there's a song that Mikey's working on. That's we're going to find a way to put it in.
That's incredible.
It's just really, really nice. Really quickly, because we got a couple minutes left. What do you do for your day job when you have a day job? What do you normally go
totally. For? Yes. So I have worked really, and this is always now it's such a, I'm like, oh no, people are like, oh, you're a beer bro. I get it. It all makes sense. And I'm like, no, but I have worked mostly in that industry, like in the craft. And that's honestly what brought me to Asheville was Asheville
beer.
Is like a big beer city. And I've worked kind of in that space, let's say for 15 years now. Cool. and bartending mostly, I've done a lot of stuff, from like all the way up to like running entire like front of house guest experience operation side things, like jobs that were cool on paper, but in practice terrible and not fun for trying to tour and play music. To now the short answer is bartend. It's awesome. I love it. And again, Asheville is not a bad place to be for that. So when I do finally get back up there, hopefully that is what I do again. But it's like I told you before, it's been I haven't worked since the end of September. So right now my answer is I play in a band, and it pays almost nothing, dude, and it's awesome. But that's my job.
Hell yeah. Okay, yeah. So I bet you have a huge discography. I want to play a song from y'all. Whether it's from the split, you don't have to listen to the whole thing. I'm gonna throw it in there. Everyone's sick if you're in there. Yes. Sorry. So what song from your discography would you like to hear on the podcast?
I love it. I think honestly, because of just timing and stuff, let's do. So we just did this split with Swiss Army Wife,
Yes.
who is an incredible band from the West Coast, from Portland, I believe. I hope I'm not fucking that up. It's Seattle or Portland, and I get those two confused all the time. But I think it's Portland. But all your friends, our friend Nat from Arcadia Grey just did a music video for that song for us, and I love that song. And we recorded that song with our really good friend Cameron Harrison from Farseek at his home studio, which was so much fun. And he's such an incredible songwriter.
Okay, so here's all your friends. Okay, that was all your friends. Okay, thank you so much. This shit's gonna close up in less than a minute because I love free Zoom and it's gonna like just shut up in the middle of our call.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Yo, what's up, Five at the Door peeps? This is your boy, Nish, from 10 Month Summer. I just wanted to yap a little bit about the show we had this last weekend at My Place, Ohio, which is easily one of the best DIY spots we've got in Chicago right now. We used to play in their garage, which was really fun, but now they've moved it down to the basement, proper DIY basement shit, and they've soundproofed it so well it sounds better than half of the freaking venues in Chicago that are quote-unquote professional. Everyone is so nice. They feed bands. Bands can stay there if they're traveling. Just such a wholesome group of humans. I love the whole team there. Shout out to Ryan for making such an amazing space. And the show we played last weekend was insane. We played with the homies and background character, OK Koala and Fujiko. And let me just say, I mean, everyone was incredible, unbelievable, amazing. But background character has got to be one of the craziest bands in Chicago in that they are so talented, they are so kind, they talk their talk, they play amazing music, and their sets are just electric. I mean, there's nothing like it. They're the blueprint. They're what we need to be. They're what we're striving to be. we want to be as just jubilant and crazy as them. Love them so much. It was such a pleasure to play with them and also the other bands as well. Yeah. Anyway, Chicago forever, DIY forever, Chrissy forever, the 95 Coral forever. You know how it is. Peace.